I have no regrets.
You had such a good senior role and you were coaching the coaches in the sports world, and you could have just take a promotion for the next step. What made you that?
And so 10 years ago, I made the leap at 19 to come here on my own.
I had like 5 cards, and when you told me, I was like, shit, we don't need 5 cards. We just need like a phone. What was happening for you that moment when you think that, okay, I need to resign, I need to start? And what was your feeling that time?
Yeah, it was scary.
When you're running a business, you don't have a scorecard.
Yeah.
How do you keep the scorecard? Like,
But ultimately, if you believe in it, take the leap.
did you ever felt that I need to give up?
But I always knew deep down that I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
It's 6 p.m. sharp, May 4th. I finished editing my episode 2. I love this episode because the guest and me have the same story, and he left his job last year, same time when I left my job to start my marketing agency. This guest came to Australia at the age of 19 with no family here and no backup and just one-way ticket to Australia from New Zealand. And he built his whole career in sports, and he just walked away from all of it to start building his own business. Today, we have Anthony Jellicoe, co-founder of STAMPR, and it's Australia's first universal coffee loyalty app. And this episode is worth your time. Let's get into it. You need to train for like decade, getting into national teams and stuff.
Yeah.
And you have got into 2 countries like Australia and New Zealand, and you should be like super pro to get into 2 national teams. How did that happen?
Yeah, so gymnasts train a lot. Like I was training 4 to 5 days a week at the age of 10, 11, 12. You just need a lot. It's probably one of the only sports, apart from probably dancing and diving, where you are classified as elite, so to speak, at a very young age. A lot of other sports, their I guess lifespan is longer. In gymnastics, particularly on the women's side, you peak at your 15, 16, 17 years old. In the men, a little bit later, but it's very demanding at a very young age. And I guess that's kind of what's created me to be the person that I am today, is the discipline, the demands of you at a young age, and then transferring that into work.
You remember any first day experience going in, getting hurt or training?
Actually, no. Like it was a very long time ago now, but I remember the demand straight away.
Yeah.
Like the level of commitment and dedication that you need to demonstrate at a really young age is so different to what other sports are after. So for example, football, you can play grassroots football 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And then that's when you start making your way into more competitive divisions than football. Gymnastics, very different.
Yeah, and I also read about you that you ran the biggest volleyball camp in Australia with 450 players and 90 coaches. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so I found my way into sports administration a few years ago now. Back in Sydney, there was a volleyball job that opened up. It was a prime opportunity for me. I wanted to get into that space, but it had been really challenging after COVID to progress into something that maybe your resume didn't reflect the highest level of skill for. That was the biggest challenge for me as a coach, moving into an administration role. A lot of companies didn't see the transferable skills. So finally, I thought I've got to make a change, and I applied. I got the job and then moved to Canberra. And then that's where that came from. So in my first year, I should say, we ran the biggest volleyball camp in Australia in December 2023.
Yeah.
450 athletes, over 90 coaches across 3 different locations in Queensland. And it was huge, really big.
You didn't go to university, and you jumped straight from the sports world to entrepreneurship. And most of the people or audience who are watching this, they're curious about how that happened. Like without university, you went to TAFE and you don't have a business degree. How that entrepreneurship came into you? Like, why did you want to start that?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'd probably say is like, it's not a prerequisite to start a business or to become an entrepreneur. There's not prerequisites to do that. You don't have to go to university. You don't have to have a degree. Of course, there are certain things that those types of things would help you with. But ultimately, I had aspirations to be an Olympic level coach. Like I wanted to, after I'd finished training and moved into coaching world, which was as soon as I'd finished school, That was my goal. I wanted to work in high performance gymnastics, travel the world as an Olympic or high level coach, and go to the Olympic Games, which is most people's dream. And then throughout my journey working, I found it really challenging to fit in, for want of a better phrase. I was always so enthusiastic, constantly looking for improvement. And sometimes when you're in the workplace, it's really challenging to do because you're working to company policy, you're working to company process. And so that was the biggest challenge for me. But I always knew deep down that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew that I wanted to do something that was mine, and work on that. The challenge I faced was, what was that going to be? Because there was ultimately a lot of people out there trying to do the same thing, particularly after COVID. There were a lot of people that wanted to develop their own side hustle, right? I saw so many people starting like cookie businesses, e-commerce shops, using Etsy to develop certain things and then sell those things through an online shop. But I wanted to do something that was different. I didn't want to just do the same thing that everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
I just couldn't come up with what that idea was. And then ultimately I landed on STAMPR, which we can talk about, of course, but that's how it kind of led to this. Yeah, for me, it was after COVID. I think after COVID, a lot of people got sacked with the realization of like what the world could be, and what can happen. And I think it gives you a bit of a reality check. But after COVID, I thought, what else can I do alongside my working life to support me financially, but also to ultimately, hopefully, move into full-time as an entrepreneur. So after COVID, I was like, I couldn't land on anything. I was looking at the same thing that I was explaining, cookie businesses and different things like that. But I was like, it's not my passion.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, it was in last year where I landed on this. And it was just by coincidence.
And you're coming from different world to a different world. In that sports world, you had a score sheet, right? Like you need to be knew when you're winning, when you're losing. But when you're running a business, you don't have a scorecard. Like how do you keep the scorecard? Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's hard. I won't lie. That's hard for me. I'm a pretty impatient person, constantly looking for what's next, what's next. And one of my biggest values that I live by is commitment and dedication to the cause. So for me, I'm looking at, I guess, like you say, the score sheet, right? You can see it. I can't see that every day in the business that I'm running now. And so it's finding other ways to realize, okay, I'm on the right track, or, but mainly looking at the long-term project, right? Like it's not going to develop overnight.
When you lose, how do you cope with that? You are coming from a sports world, like you lose, how you used to that Anthony in sports world, how was he coping with the losing stuff, and coming to business, how are you doing it?
Yeah, so I mean, people may be surprised, but there are a lot of similarities, right? When you lose, the first thing you do is reflect. And so that happens in gymnastics. When I'm coaching, I'm, as a coach, reflecting what happened, why did this particular scenario occur, and review that, and then make adjustments. In business, the same thing, right? If I feel like I've had a loss or I haven't got a win, why? Work through the review process of that, and then make changes or adjustments for the better. So ultimately, there are a lot of similarities, and that's why I'm probably held in good stead with the business right now, is I'm able to do that. Where I fall down probably is my impatience, that I'm constantly like, why is that not working, blah, 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 instead of just stopping and going, hey, why did that happen? And then moving forward.
And I think you resigned your job last year, September, as November. That's exactly when I resigned my job and I started my marketing agency. I know what was going in my mind when I did that. What was happening for you that moment when you think that, okay, I need to resign, I need to start? And what was your feeling that time?
Yeah, it was scary. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was very scared. There was just something in me that knew that I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
So initially I thought, yes, I could work full time and then run this on the side. But I knew it's like an athlete that does two things, right? the time that they put into one thing is time that's missing from the other thing. So for example, if I'm working full time, when I'm working, I've got to put my time and energy into that.
Yeah.
And that's time that I'm not able to put into what I'm trying to build, which was STAMPR. And so I did it for probably a month where I was working and then trying to build the business. And it was just too challenging. There was not enough time in the week. And so ultimately I knew that I needed to put the effort, the time and effort that I was putting into my work, my day-to-day job, I needed to transfer into my business to ensure that it had a good foundation for success. And that was the light bulb moment. I thought, I've got to take the leap.
Yeah.
I'd done that before, leaping over to Australia at 19 by myself. My mum didn't believe that that was what I was going to do. And so I knew that I'd done it before, and I had to trust in that.
So many audience who is watching this episode, they'll have a question like, you had such a good senior role and you're coaching the coaches in the sports world, and you could have just take a promotion for the next step. What made you that? Leave, resign, and then move on?
Yeah, I think you have to ask yourself, one of the most important things is you have to believe in what you are doing. But you have to ask yourself, can this work, right? And I asked myself that, and I was very confident that what I was developing was going to work. I just had to ensure that I had good people around me and a good plan in place to make it happen. And I have no regrets. The other thing is that you can always go back to what you were doing, right? So I also knew, similar to when I moved to Australia, I knew that if it didn't work out, that I could just go back, right? And I would be able to just pick up where I was before and make any adjustments I needed to and keep moving. Same with the business. If for some reason something happened and it just didn't work, I could go back to the sporting world. I've got the credentials, I've got the ability. And so it would just be finding the right thing again. And then you just keep moving through your life. So that's where people, I think, worry when they're scared, is that if they take the next step, that they can't just, I guess, go back to what they were doing before. But you can. You make your own luck, you make your own life. And so it's just with the decisions that you make, what the future can hold for you. Yeah, I haven't had to go back to the sporting world, and I'm 5 months in now. So I'm happy. But I always knew that if something wasn't going to work, if this STAMPR business wasn't going to work, there was always a space in sport for me in the future.
Yeah. How is the experience moving? So how did your first week look when you moved into the business world, starting STAMPR, and you don't have a job, you resigned the job? How did that first week look for you?
Yeah, well, the first week I was still employed at my organization. So I was juggling the Monday to Friday, but then outside of the 9 to 5, I was thinking about STAMPR, how it was going to work. And then weekends, writing my business plan, doing a financial spreadsheet, getting advice from so many different people, particularly the people that are closest to you, like your friends, and juggling that. And then ultimately, when it became solidified that this was something that I was going to do, that's when I made the step to resign from my security. This is the scary part, right? Is you resign from a job that gives you so much stability in your life. You're going to get paid. You're going to know your roster. You're working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You know what you're going to get income wise, and you can pay your bills.
Yeah.
Now that's not a reality anymore.
How did that first week look when you resigned and everything was gone? The 9 to 5 was gone. The structured work was gone. Now you're on your own. No one is there to tell you something, ask you something. How did that first week look?
Yeah, that was hard. I'm not going to lie. I like routine. I like structure. And so for me, that was really hard. And financially, it was hard. I've had to adjust my lifestyle a little bit to ensure that I was able to pay my bills. But yeah, it was really hard. That shouldn't deter you though from doing it, because right now I have no regrets.
Did you ever felt that I need to give up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every day?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
So I have a business mentor who I work with, and I had to raise this with them multiple times, because you sit there and you, I guess, pour yourself with doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Is it going to work? Because like you said before about the score sheet, that's not in play. You can't see that. Yeah. And you rely on the people, the public, I guess, to support your business. And so for me, all the time.
And before we jump into STAMPR, was there a moment that made you, okay, I know this is going to work out, that you started putting in 100%? Like, I know you were putting 100% every day, but you felt that moment that, okay, there's a possibility this is going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, there are still times now where I sat there and go, is this going to work? But I'm surrounded by some really good people now. And I've built some really good connections within the STAMPR world who I've brought in to support me. So certainly it wasn't like that at the beginning, but we just keep going. You just keep going. I met people and they introduce you to other people, and then you build that network. And then I was very fortunate enough to meet someone that was willing to do this with me. And so my business partner now keeps me grounded.
And how was your family or the closest people thought about when you told them, oh, I'm going to resign the job and I'm going to start STAMPR, I'm going to give 100% on STAMPR now? What was their reaction?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually tell my family for quite a while, but my mum thought I was crazy. My mum has always supported me in doing what I wanted to do, and she had trust that I knew what I was doing. Now, whether that was the case or not, it doesn't matter. She gave me this feeling that she believed in me. And an example of that is when I was 16, I traveled to Europe by myself for gymnastics. And I paid for all of it. So at 16 years old, while I was still at school, I went to Europe for a month, and I trained there in an area where there was no one spoke English. And so that's how, I guess, that was the first thing. The second thing, I bought my own car when I was 16 as well. I just saved, right? I was like probably a lot of people that are listening to this, working, saving. But what I guess is different for me is that I went and did what I said I was going to do. So I said I was going to go to Europe. I did it. It happened. I bought a car with no support from my family financially, and I did it. Then I moved to Australia, and I did it. I started a business, and I've done it. So I pride myself on doing what I say that I'm going to do, and not worrying about what could happen.
And do you think like achieving what you told you will do is something coming from that sports?
Yes, skills, 100%.
Yeah.
And people that are listening that are sports people or in the sporting world will understand that as a young person doing sport, there are so many skills that set you apart from a lot of other people because you develop that in the sporting world. The commitment, the dedication that you have to give. You're giving up your Saturday mornings to play a sport, Saturday sport. I gave up multiple birthday parties. When I was younger, I could have, when I was 18, I could have gone out drinking with my friends, but I just didn't. And so I focused purely on sport. And a lot of people in my circle of friends, they were different because, they had different skills. But I had the ability to stay committed, driven, enthusiastic, and passionate about everything that I did.
Now, I want to talk about your product, STAMPR. So this is something I was using, I think 1 month ago when I met you. I had like 5 cards. And when you told me, I was like, shit, we don't need 5 cards. We just need like a phone, and no one know about that. And can you tell us what is STAMPR like for people who are listening to this?
Yeah.
Because when I told my wife, she told, oh, there's a stamp card, like just a digital stamp card.
Yeah.
Then I made her say, understand and she loves it.
Yeah.
So someone listening to STAMPR, what is this STAMPR or like digital STAMPR?
Yeah. So we've, I guess, created or enhanced something that already is happening today.
Yeah.
So the paper coffee cards, buy a coffee, get a stamp, buy 9, get a free one. So that already works in cafes today. Where the challenge is that for the customer, they have to carry around multiple coffee cards because we know that people will move around based on what they're doing in their life, right? So they may go to their loyal coffee shop at their workplace because that's their 9 to 5. But then they may go somewhere in the morning when they go to the gym, or go somewhere in the weekend with their friends. that may not be their local or their loyal coffee shop. So the idea started, so I go to the gym every morning at 6:15, and me and some of my friends from the gym, we go and get coffee afterwards, right? It's a bit of a social thing, which is exactly what going to get coffee is. It's social. And so we would go to our regular, I'd get a stamp, get a free coffee whenever I'd built my card. But sometimes my friends would say, oh, let's go to this cafe today. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to go there because I want to get a stamp, right? And so I was one of those people that liked to collect those to get a free one.
So walk me through steps, like someone who is using STAMPR in 4 to 5 steps. How does that work in simple terms?
Yeah, so ultimately our card is universal. So that's what's making us different to current digital coffee cards that are already in place or the paper coffee cards that cafes use. So we've kind of put them together and made it universal. So STAMPR is a universal and digital coffee card that you can collect coffee stamps from at all of our cafes. So if you go to Cafe A, you're going to get a stamp. And then if you go to Cafe B, you're going to get a stamp on the same card, meaning that every coffee that you buy earns you closer to that free one, rather than every coffee that you buy from that particular cafe. And so we also believe that the loyalty from a customer comes from not the card, it comes from the service that the cafes provide to the customer and the coffee that they buy, or the coffee that they sell. So that's essentially what we did. I was sitting at a coffee shop with my friends at the gym, and we were at a different one, and I said, why can't I just have one card that I can get stamps at? And so that's where the idea came from. I looked online.
I also struggled.
Yeah.
I also struggled with that
Yeah.
one card. Apart from, I used to lose cards.
Yeah.
It used to, like 5 coffees, the next coffee was free and I used to lose it.
Yeah.
Or I used to keep it in my pocket
Mhm.
and it gets washed in the washing machine and it's gone. Like 6 weeks of hard work is gone.
Yeah.
I hate that, but it's a $4 worth, but I know it's very important for me to get that free coffee.
Yeah.
And I think now it's easier.
Yeah, so we asked 200 people, do they use it first? And what's the most annoying thing about the piece of paper that they have to carry? And they said exactly what you've just said. They forget it, they wash it, or they end up collecting 4 or 5 of the same cafe's paper coffee card that they're getting stamps on.
Yeah.
And so they either have to then take all of those coffee cards to that cafe and ask them to put them all on one, or they're missing a free coffee, right?
Yeah.
So they're putting investment into coffee and then getting nothing back.
And one thing I was thinking about was, this is like first idea. Like, I think this is the first universal card in Australia anyone is using.
Yes.
And it's someone, you're going to some cafe owners talking about this. I know their experience because their expressions would be like, what? Like, no one would do that. Like, what was your first experience, like talking to that first cafe owner, and how did they react?
Yeah, so we had a lot of no's to start with, right? As with any business that you're starting, because you need to build trust and reliability of the brand that you're building. It's not just going to become a natural thing. So for example, if you're a cafe owner and I present this to you, you don't know if it's going to work, if it's beneficial to you. We as a business have to ensure that that's built over time. What we need, I guess, to start with is just someone to take a bit of a chance or a bit of a risk on us. But also we have to be able to explain to them the benefits. So a lot of no's to start with. There was a lot of concern about the universal feature, right? Because a lot of cafes are set on, but I'm only giving you a free one because you've bought 9 coffees from me. That's not loyal. That's just that they want to get a free one from you, right? If I had a card that I had only 2 more coffee stamps to get before a free one, but I didn't like the coffee, I'm probably still going to go and buy 2 more so that I can get a free one.
Yeah.
The loyalty is from the coffee that they drink and the type of service that they get. One of the biggest things is if you as a cafe owner know my name and know my coffee order, as a customer, that makes me feel good, right? So I'm going to keep coming back to you versus going to the cafe next door who doesn't know me, doesn't know my coffee order, and I'm just another customer to them.
How many no's you got before you got the first yes?
I was pretty lucky. I think I had only 2, and then I got a yes. And I was very fortunate in the yes that I got, they were already looking at something like this. So they already knew as a business owner that they wanted to try to convert their paper cards into something digital. The whole world is turning digital, right? It's a no-brainer to turn something that sits at the counter that the cafe has to print every couple of months, turning that digital. So I was very fortunate that that cafe was already looking at something like that. But over the 20 cafes that we've secured on STAMPR, triple the number of that have been no, or no reply.
Who was your first cafe who told yes?
I'm not ready for this question. The first cafe that I met with that said yes was Pressed Coffee Co. in Canberra City here. And as I said, they were looking for something like this, and she was very, very generous. I met with her, and I was confident in what I was offering her, but ultimately there had to be a level of trust that she had to give me without knowing that this was going to work. And so she did, and they're still on with us today in one of our best performing cafes.
Yeah, I think I've also seen the numbers, and in 6 months you got like 1,000 customers.
Yes.
And how many cafes are you?
So we're at 20 now.
20?
Yeah.
And what is the pattern looking like the percentage of increase every month?
Yeah, so initially we started small, right? So I'd said to myself, I want to just test the idea. And so we got 5 cafes in the city, and we tested it out with them first. And we did that for 2 months. We wanted to test first if the universal component was going to work, because whilst the cafes had the worry that people would move around, I needed to be absolutely certain that that wasn't going to be the case. And a lot of the cafes thought that that the customers were going to be mean and go, oh, I don't like that cafe, so I'm going to go and get my free coffee from them. Like, that's not the reality here. The reality is they're going to get their free coffee when it is next in line. So they're just going to buy coffee regularly. And when they get to their free one, that one's going to be redeemed at the next available time that they buy a coffee, whether that be at their regular or at another cafe. That was how it was going to work. It wasn't that, oh, I've got a free one. Where am I going to spend this free coffee at my least favorite cafe? And that was one of the things we had to try to convince the cafes that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I think other thing you're building with the product is the network, right? And what are some of the cafes who is going to miss this?
Yeah, so what we're building is a cafe network. Essentially, that's how I would label it. So anyone that uses STAMPR has access to more customers than what they would regularly. So cafes at the moment can only market their cafe to people that follow them on social media. They're probably not the type of business that would spend a lot of money on marketing and ad campaigns to get more reach, because they don't have the resourcing available to them, but they also have a lot of competition. In the city alone, there's cafes within 100 meters from each other. And so why would I move from one cafe to another that's only 100 meters down the road? So this, I guess, adds that extra layer, right? If I'm a customer and I'm using STAMPR, I'm probably going to go to a cafe that is on STAMPR. And so we build that network where we can tell the cafes if they want to do a promotion, right? So if they want to run something for Easter or something like that, we can actually send that to everyone that's on STAMPR, not necessarily just the people that go to them regularly. So they're getting more reach. They're getting their business in front of more people, which ultimately is what business is about.
It becomes like a marketing agency for cafes. And instead of spending that $3,000, $4,000 a month, all you have to do is just give them a free coffee, and you can mean STAMPR network. I think which is pretty clever.
Even it's free for the cafes. So we don't charge the cafes to be on STAMPR. And so we realized that was probably one of the initial steps we had to do to be able to allow them to trust in us, because we knew that once they tried the product and used it daily, that it was beneficial to them, and the numbers show that.
One more question was, I was just curious about the big chains, coffee. They already have a digital loyalty app. Do you think they can build something like this and make STAMPR irrelevant? And what could stop them not do STAMPR?
Yeah, like ultimately the initial response is yes, right? If they wanted to, they could use STAMPR, or we could do their own thing, right? So we certainly are not closed off to big chains coming to us and seeing what we can do for them. But they're big enough that they don't need the universal component as much as, say, small businesses and local cafes in the cities, because everyone knows Starbucks, right? Everyone knows Coffee Club. Everyone knows the Gloria Jeans, for example. So our market, or where we're targeting, is we're helping the smaller businesses get more reach and more people to their business.
And you started this in Canberra. I started my agency and everything in Canberra because I was in Canberra, and that was the reason I wanted to start from Canberra and then move on, apart from Canberra, like expand it all over Australia. What was your reason to start in Canberra?
Well, Canberra was by luck, actually. So I started it purely because I was here. If I had been in Sydney, where I was for 8 years, I probably could have started it there too. What I'm really grateful for is Canberra is a really good place for startup. They put a lot of time, I guess the city, the government, put a lot of time into startups in Canberra. And there are a lot of small businesses that started in Canberra.
I think in Canberra, it's also relationship based, right? Once you know one person, you will know that other person, and it's a very small community, but I think it also helps you with relationship building. I think that's how I love Canberra. Like, we can build networks very fast. It's a close community, and it helps you in the business, and it helps you with the mentoring, like free mentoring, meeting people like this, having conversation. You can have conversation with anyone, learn from them. I think that's good.
One of the benefits of Canberra is that you don't get lost in the population.
Yeah.
So the population is lower, yes, but you're not another person starting a business. You're actually seen in Canberra as valuable and valuable to Canberra. So in Sydney, the population is so high that if I started a business in Sydney, maybe I'm going to get more people towards my business, but this to get to that stage of being visible in front of so many people is going to be a longer process. In Canberra, with the support of a lot of different people, you can be seen a lot faster and supported a lot better. The reason that that this all started and how I met my business partner was because I tried to find a grant for small businesses. And so I found one and I got told about a monthly networking session that was run by this company. And that's how I met my business partner.
Yeah. I think for networking, Black VC, I use Black VC. I think they're doing very good.
Correct.
Networking events. I think, yeah, if someone who is missing out, you need to check out Black VC networking events. One more question was, once the Canberra market is capped out, and what is your plan after that?
Yeah, so we don't have, I guess, plans to stop at Canberra.
Yeah.
We want to go nationwide. So we are hopeful that Canberra can be a really good starting point for us, but it's definitely not our limit. We want to get into Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, and we want to be known across Australia.
And how is the percentage, like how many cafes are you signing up per month? Like how is it growing, like compared to that last quarter and last 3 months? How is it?
Yeah, so it started off pretty slow, right? Because as a new entrepreneur, you learn things along the way, different things that make cafes go, oh. And so obviously it started slow, but then it builds and builds and builds. The challenge that I have right now is the business is still starting. And so I've got to spend time at work, at just a casual job, to help support my lifestyle or my bills. But most of the time, if I talk to, say, 5 cafes, I can convert at least 50% of them.
Yeah. And what are the few best cafes which is performing great in Canberra at the moment?
So we have Cafe Ristretto in the city and Press Coffee Co. They're probably our 2 biggest performing cafes in Canberra Central. We just got one cafe down at the lake, which is very popular because a lot of people use the lake for fitness, running, walking, casual chats with their friends. So they're performing really well. And then we have a cafe in Kingston as well. 7th and Bake Patisserie Cafe. they're performing really well as well.
Crazy. And how many signups you get? Like how many stamps you get now compared to?
Yeah, so we used to get like 10 stamps.
Yeah.
And now we average probably like 50 stamps a day.
Wow. Shit. That's good. What are a few things no one told you about when you found this company? Like you need to know, but you didn't know that?
A lot of people, I think that starting a business is easy. You develop a product, you sell it, you receive income for it, and then that cycle just keeps going and going. But it's not that easy. There are so many different things that you don't know unless you start a business that you need to do. And selling your product is not as easy as what it's displayed online, because people that start a business put online only the good stuff. The challenges, all the nitty-gritty stuff that you have to do, all the legal compliance. I was never in social media or marketing. I'm doing that now. I'm having to teach myself that. And just lots of small things. And things take time, you know? So it's not as, I guess, easy as what's displayed online, but it's not impossible.
And what was few things you completely got wrong when you started the business?
My sales pitch was pretty poor at the start.
Yeah.
But you develop that over time. And when you talk to more cafes, in the example of STAMPR, you understand a little bit more about what they're looking for. And so you can, I guess, develop your sales pitch to be around that. But I can tell you right now, the sales pitch that I did at my first cafe was probably pretty bad.
And if someone is thinking about leaving a job today and starting the business, what are a few things you'll tell them to do these particular things and then resign and then start the business?
My biggest message to people listening is, if you believe in it, do it. Because ultimately, if you believe in it, then you will make it work. That is the biggest message. People get worried about the what ifs. The what ifs can be adjusted to how, like you, if you are willing to put in 100%, you surround yourself with really good people, and you're like a sponge. You learn from the people around you. Like my business partner, I soak in everything that he advises me on, and ultimately I get the final say. But I listen, and so being around good people is really important. But ultimately, if you believe in it, take the lead.
And do you have any message to cafe owners who don't use STAMPR? What are they missing out?
Okay, if you're a cafe owner and you aren't with STAMPR, you're missing out on more people. So ultimately, we help you get more people to your cafe by one simple digital card.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're just giving away most likely the same amount of coffees that you would anyway, but you're generating more business.
And also getting more visibility in the market, so people would know this cafe exists in that particular area and they can go choose that particular cafe. And what is a message for the customers who are not using STAMPR?
So our biggest message to the customers is, this card follows you. You don't have to remember the card anymore, because you're always going to have your phone with you.
Yeah.
And we are hopeful that you'll get more free coffees.
And does it work on all the models?
Yeah.
And it's same as the Apple card, like double click, show the scan card, and they scan it and you get the stamp.
Yeah, so our card sits in your wallet just like all of your credit cards. And we did that purposely so that it was all in one place. We decided against developing an app that was separate to your digital wallet in your phone. So that when you pay for your card, because most people pay with their digital card these days, pay with your card, transfer with one tap to your STAMPR card and get it scanned by the cafe.
So before we wrap, what is the one thing you want someone watching this to actually do for STAMPR right now?
Yeah, so ultimately, as a customer, give us a follow on Instagram, check out our website, download your card for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and start stamping. You'll then realize how valuable and how easy the card is to use. And then ultimately you'll be saying thanks when you've got a free coffee in your hand.
Yeah, I think just try once. Just try it once, and you'll love it.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to reach out to you, like cafe owners,
Mhm.
what is the best?
Yeah, so you can reach us through our social channels or hello@stampr.com.au.
And what is the plan for STAMPR next 5 years, which is not live yet? Like, what is the next plan?
Yeah, so STAMPR will be launching its brand new software this month. And we're hoping that, like I said before, we can take it globally. At the moment, we're staying in Canberra, trying to build that and get a really strong foundation for STAMPR, which will set us up for really good success when we do take it out of Canberra.
Thank you for watching episode 2, and that's Anthony Jellicoe, co-founder of STAMPR. If you want to try it, there's a link in description. Go download your first digital coffee loyalty card. And if you like this episode, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.